Hey everyone, how's it going? Thanks for joining in. This is Christian Colabelli coming at you again, the product manager of Effects Pedals here at Eventide. And we have a special low-end edition of Eventide's Quarantide series. We have more low-end than an 80s boombox here with some serious players. So I'm just going to start off by going around and having everyone introduce themselves. So Dave, let's start with you, man.
How's it going? I'm Dave Marvuglio. I'm a professor at Berkeley College of Music for bass, where I teach metal, punk and hardcore, all sorts of stuff. Playing with the band Rare Futures. Used to play with Ice Nine Kills and Sour Longfield.
Sweet, man. Awesome. John, how about you?
John Moody, by day, wearer of many hats over at GHS Strings. By night, solo bass player, usually doing a lot of musical theater, or also, since I'm in the Southwest Michigan area, a whole lot of folk and Americana.
Awesome, man. How about you, Jeff?
Hey, Jeff Matz. I play bass in the band High on Fire and a bunch of other projects. To be in a band called Zeke, kind of in the hardcore punk metal world, I guess.
Awesome. Kilian, how about you, dude?
Hey guys, thanks for having me. So my name is Kilian Duarte, and I'm a professional bass player based just north of Boston, Massachusetts. I play in a couple bands. I play in Scale the Summit with Angel Vivaldi, with other band Laddermath. I used to play with Felix Martin as well, and I do professional gigging around general business work around the New England area too as well. And like John, I also do theater work and stuff like that.
That's awesome, man. You're busy, dude. If you go on Kilian's Facebook and you go on his like About Me section, there's just like 20 bands. It's awesome. It's inspiring, dude. Nathan, how about you?
Hey everybody, I'm Nathan. Thanks for having me. I'm also based just a little bit north of Boston. I do YouTube videos. I post mainly original music, lessons, gear, reviews and covers at youtube.com/Nathan Navarro. And I've been playing bass with Devin Townsend since 2018.
That's awesome, man. Julie, last time I saw you, we were riding a horse around New York City at 3 a.m. and then in Pride Calamari with Adrian Ballou at 4 a.m.
That's right.
What's happening? Okay, cool. Oh man,
I got broken up for a second. Sorry.
No worries, no worries.
Am I here?
Yeah, you're
okay.
back.
Okay, Julie Slick, coming live from Seattle, Washington. I play bass with Adrian Ballou, as we just mentioned. I've been with him for 14 years now.
Yeah.
And also various side projects with him, including the Crimson Project, where I got to share some low-end duties with Tony Levin, which was insane. And my own band, Echo Test, as well as solo Julie Slick, where I use lots of Eventide pedals.
Awesome. John Sullivan, can you hear me, dude?
I can.
Awesome. No, dude, nice facial hair. That's sick, man.
Yeah, you know, what else you gonna do?
Sweet. Just introduce yourself, man. Give us a little background.
I'm John Sullivan, play bass. I know Christian. I know Mike Bishop a long time ago. You know, I've been playing the bass over about 32 years. Play all styles, you know, rock, salsa, you know, metal. I mean, feels like you got a bunch of cool cats in here with like Adrian Ballou. I didn't even know that. That's amazing. Yeah, I don't play with Adrian Ballou. I wish I did.
It's awesome.
That's sick, dude. Awesome. Yeah, you know, I play bass. So, you know, I you know, I don't really know what to say.
Yeah, man. I mean, you've been on some serious tours though, dude. You've played, you were Jack's Vatican. I mean, like, dude, you've been on it, you know?
You know, yeah, I mean, I've done some stuff, you know, but, you know, hey, just try to catch up with you, Christian. Come on up.
Awesome. Well, guys, I mean, you guys are all super busy, in-demand players. You're all used to touring. And everyone was coming off kind of a big year. And then this happened. Like, let's just kind of start there. How did that affect you all personally? Like, how did your plans change? Did tours get canceled? Did they get postponed? I know, Nathan, we talked about this, so we'll start with you, man. Give us the lowdown.
Yeah, so I had just come off a European tour with Devin. It ended in late December, and it was awesome. It was 6 weeks. I was touring with Mike Kilian, Morgan Ogren, and some big heroes of mine.
Awesome.
And then we had our North American tour planned out. We were 2 weeks in. It started up in Northeast Canada, and we went down all the way through the Southeast North America. And at the exact halfway point, I remember we were at a hotel in Memphis, and we were all having dinner, and President Trump was on the television, and he gave an address saying, we're going to implement these travel bans to Europe starting 2 days from now. And it kind of just hit us like, we know this means something for us because over half of our tour group is European. And that same night, we had to pull the plug just for logistical reasons. And we did all feel that it was in the best interest of everyone's health. And, there was an ethical responsibility there for that because, we could be potential carriers. We didn't even know.
Of course.
But it was tough to pull the plug then because I was so excited to get to the West Coast and play for all my family and friends there. And it was kind of, it was a little bit fear-inducing going through Boston Logan Airport because there were multiple confirmed cases of COVID going through there with passengers and TSA. So I went home. My wife and I quarantined solid for a 40-day period. Oh, it was weird. And just in the past 2 weeks, we started coming out a little bit. But life has really changed a lot. There were financial changes. There were, clearly day-to-day changes. But since then, I've just kind of been trying to adapt and ramp up my online business, which was already kind of going a little bit with YouTube and original music and remote session work. But I find that, you often hear, oh, in today's age of being a musician, you have to diversify. You have to have as many streams of income as you can. And as much as I've gone in that direction, I feel like it really just ramps up a lot of administrative work. You can only spread yourself so far. And I feel like once you find what's working for you, it's good just to capitalize on that, because I can't spend 4 days out of the week optimizing my content for different social media platforms. And I can't spend, another 2 days out of the week just going back and forth regarding scheduling lessons and why are your rates this, and can you give me a blessing here, and things like that. So this period, it's just been a lot about cutting off the things that are less effective and optimizing those that are.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, man. And I think I was watching a Rick Beato episode recently, and he was pretty much talking about the same thing, like just the state of today's musician, or the archetype of today's musician is so much more than obviously just a musician. You have to, even coming from where I'm coming from, I'm playing in a couple bands, as well as doing the product management at Eventide, and it's you kind of have to, it's all encompassing. You don't get a break, especially with you and your ridiculous YouTube channel. Like, think about the editing that goes into that, learning a new product, getting a new pedal, learning it, figuring out how to convey that, and like a cohesive video that looks good. There's just so many things that we have to kind of be responsible for in order to generate income, which is kind of good, I guess, and bad. It's a little bit scary, and especially with this thing happening, we all rely on touring as a, kind of the last hurrah for where musicians can really make money. And now this has happened. So do you guys think that this is going to come back in the next year, or do you think we're a year out from really hitting the road again and making money and having people be into the show? Like, what do you guys think? Anyone?
I think the hardest part on that is even when it still goes down, like let's say just hypothetically in the fall, it's at a point where it's easily manageable. Most of the places have opened up to a comfortable level and things. And so people feel okay opening up live shows and to start touring. I think that's part of it. But then the other part is convincing the general crowd to get back out. And I think that's going to be the harder part than getting us back on the road. It's convincing those fans of ours to for lack of a better term, take a risk and and go back out on it.
Because we just had a question come in from Facebook, actually for Nathan. Has being stuck at home made it easier or harder to make videos, and how has the dynamic changed?
It's made it easier in the sense that I have more time to dedicate towards it. I'm not on the road anymore.
Right.
I'm not filling my time with other things. I can't see my friends as much as I'd want to, or I actually haven't seen my friends just for the sake of quarantining. But there's another aspect to it outside of the logistics, which it's more personal and emotional. And I feel like it's been a simultaneously difficult time, but very introspective and productive as far as dealing with things that I didn't know I even had to deal with. The old saying, when you're in an empty room and all you have is your thoughts.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for this time. I think I will move on from this pandemic having grown a lot as a person and being more appreciative and more grateful for, not being in fear of catching some potentially deadly virus.
Right.
But back to the question, I think in a short answer, yes. Yeah, yes. But at the same time, while there's been a more abundance of time, I'm also experimenting with different ideas, such as one-on-one lessons and doing more remote session work. And
right.
Maybe sometimes I'll even practice. So that kind of thing.
That's hilarious, man.
Yeah.
Hey, let's just take a second. We just were joined by the great Mike Bishop. Hey, Mike, how's it going, buddy?
Hey, folks.
Thanks so much for coming in on this one.
No problem, man.
And just introduce yourself for everyone who's watching.
So I'm Michael Bishop. I got started playing bass in Richmond, Virginia. I was in a bunch of hardcore bands, punk bands. I joined GWAR when I was in high school. Did the first 7 years, first several albums with them, and then left for a while and did my own band Keepone, which was on Quarter Stick Touch and Go Records, and did a few records with that, and did some traveling, and went to school, worked on, got a PhD in music, and wound up teaching music history, and then rejoined GWAR now as the singer, which is way less cool than playing bass. So
John showed me the Keepone stuff. It's crazy, man. It's awesome.
Thanks,
Sick
man.
playing. Sick.
Thanks.
Awesome. Jeff, you guys just came off like an incredible year. I mean, amazing. I was telling you, I saw you before that with Meshuggah, and I was just like, this is serious now. These guys they're killing it. I knew good things were in store. Then you had the Grammy, and now you can't tour on it. So what has that been like?
Yeah, it's been a really strange year for us. So, the Grammy thing happened, and that was completely out of left field. We didn't see that coming at all. So that was a mind blower. And then our original drummer ended up leaving the band shortly after that. So it was like kind of a, crazy year of reorganizing and figuring out, hey, how do we move forward with this? So yeah, ended up playing with a couple of different drummers. Got a guy now who's a great drummer, this guy Chris Maggio. So rehearsed with him a bunch. Did a really great U.S. tour in November and December. It was really successful. Um, had a pretty full year of touring booked for this year, and then the rug got yanked. So we were supposed to be on the road right now, actually,
Yeah.
with stuff, and we had like a full summer of European festivals and whatnot. But yeah, it's been strange, really strange turn of events.
Have those Eurofests, have they been pushed back, postponed, or just flat out canceled?
I think a lot of them are saying postponed, but I think the majority of them are canceled.
Just done.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, that's brutal. I'm so sorry to hear that because I know how hard it is. You know, you guys are such a hardworking band and such road dogs, and then to have that kind of happen just when the momentum is kind of, you know, bursting forward, it's just tough. I guess it makes you stronger, but it's tough, you know.
Yeah, it's been strange, you know, slightly frustrating, and but you know we're making do. You know, we're taking the opportunity to work on a new album right now. So
That's cool.
our drummer lives in Louisville, Kentucky, so we've been like, you know, doing the Zoom thing and, you know, trying to exchange ideas that way, sending files back and forth. You know, just trying to make the most of the situation. Really wishing that there was like a viable online way to play together in real time. That's like,
Yeah.
It's tough.
yeah, it is. It's challenging. So, you know, yeah, we're just kind of making do with that. Been taking on a bunch of like private based students, like doing Skype and Zoom lessons. So that's something that I never really did before until this year, and that's actually been super cool. Met a lot of really cool people that way, and you know, it's been helping to keep me afloat.
Yeah.
You know, just
Imagine.
time to really, you know, practice a lot. Um,
Definitely.
Working on learning new instruments. I'm learning Turkish folk music on
No way.
the balama, yeah, which has been really cool.
That's cool. How did that come about?
Oh, I've been interested in Turkish music, I guess, since like 2006, like around the time I joined High on Fire. My roommate in Oakland was in a band called the Secret Chiefs 3. Really awesome band. Um,
Wow.
Experience from Mr. Bungle started the band. And it's
Sick.
kind of all over the place musically, but there's like a lot of, you know, like Middle Eastern influence stuff that they do. And yeah, my roommate was into all this crazy music, and he started turning me on to some of this stuff. And like the Turkish stuff is what I latched on to immediately. I just love the sound of it. I love the scales and the microtones, and just yeah, it's amazing. So I've had an interest in it in quite some time, and I've, you know, had a few traditional instruments around here that I've played around with and used on High on Fire recordings, but like I never really knew the kind of the theory behind it, like how to use them properly. So I started studying with I've got two really awesome teachers that live in Istanbul, and we've been doing Skype lessons.
Wow. That's awesome, man.
It's been really awesome. I mean, it's cool. Like, you know, I've always thought that, like, you know, like the scales and like the phrasing and rhythms and stuff, it's just like, man, this sounds like so cool when you combine it with sort of like, you know, a heavy rock approach, metal approach.
Totally.
So been working on that, kind of trying to figure out how to, you know, infuse what we do with more of that. That's been one of the things I've been doing to occupy my time.
That's great, man.
Uh,
Dave, you teach at Berkeley. What has that been like? I mean, what's
It was
going
pretty
on?
crazy. I mean, the whole school got shut down and we switched to online learning for the entire thing.
Oh
So
my God.
I mean, when did this all begin? Early March or something
Yeah.
like that. It switched over. So it was pretty much kick all the students out of the dorms, everyone go online and figure it out that way. But honestly, for me, it was a really good challenge because I haven't done too much online teaching in that way. Um, so helped me develop a lot of new skills, which was great. Most of the students seemed like they enjoyed it. doing ensembles was difficult because
Yeah.
you're no longer playing with each other. So it became everyone kind of recording at home and creating videos together and things like that.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a big learning experience for all involved.
Are students still, do they have to, I guess they would just submit a video for like their final performances, like their juries and whatnot at the end, right?
Yeah, it was that and some live streaming things as
Okay.
well, you know.
That's cool.
So it was get your friends together, have them record the tracks so you had your own play alongs and then just shed, you know. So.
That's I remember taking those like final proficiency tests at Berkeley. I would much rather do it online than sit in the office with the, you know, the two professors that are like, hey,
Yeah.
play Hungarian minor.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, which, I mean, that'd be awesome if they said that, but they didn't. Kilian, you're pretty active. Or you're very active. You're always posting crazy bass videos, man. Like, have you been more kind of enthralled in that realm when you're? I know you're obviously you play in all these bands too, but you're always putting stuff up. Have you found it to be more inspiring now, or just like what the fuck, or you know?
I think I can echo Nathan's kind of sentiment earlier in the sense that it's very much a reflective time for me as well. It's very much a learning period. I've been super, super grateful that I still have income coming in from students that reach out to me through Instagram and these social media platforms, but I've been able to teach. And so I'm not completely like shit out of luck financially because, you know, I'm grateful that there are people out there that go like, hey, I like how you play bass, show me how to do the thing. And thanks to technology being now as like fluid and like at least good enough with like this, how this conversation's happening, the lessons are much more doable now. Like I had a kid the other day from Lithuania and the call was perfect, like the entire thing. And then like, you know, the thought of that is quite insane. As for videos and stuff like that, like, yeah, I definitely was ramping up a bit. Right now though, like my big goal has been teaching myself how to self-engineer because when I went to music school, I didn't study music production engineering. I wish if I had a crystal ball to see into the future and be like, hey, everyone's gonna have a DAW at home and you should learn how to do all these things by yourself. I would have been like, do that. But I'm, again, very fortunate to have a lot of good friends that are professional sound engineers and that have been hand-holding me through this. Like I'm always trying to say I'm always fighting against Dunning-Kruger in the world, and I'm always being like, teach me. I'd rather learn from someone that knows better. And the good thing about that has been that this week specifically, I'm doing a charity event with Metal Injection with one of the artists I work with, and it's been cool because everything in the song is self-recorded. I was able to dial in thanks to like Neural DSP and all that stuff for getting that stuff, and then I'm currently, actually, that's why this is up, is I'm filming myself. And this is my first big boy self-production thing with like good editing and like all the audio is really, because like for me, I grew up in the way that like, I mean, and I still want to do it. An engineer is handling the DAW and I'm playing bass and my only obligation is to play bass. So being in charge of both and having it that my edits are dead on, that my tone is good, no like everything bouncing stuff, has been a real awakening and humbling experience. But luckily, like I finished the second song I'm doing for this last night and it was great. So yeah, it's video stuff, you know, I always try and do that. It's my video stuff is both for, you know, to reach out to get students, but also as a personal practice thing, because I challenge myself to be like, all right, learn songs. Can you double thump over a synthwave track? Can you play tech death? Can you do a Pino Palladino line? Can you do Arco stuff? So I make it a personal challenge for me that it's both for the content to like keep active online, but then also for myself as a practice regimen to be like, well, I have to nail it because I don't know how to video edit. I don't know. I wish I did. I wish I could do what Nathan does. You know, and like have a YouTube channel and stuff like that. So for me, when I do my Instagram videos, it's literally like, my phone and I got to nail the thing. So that's kind of the way that my practice chops up. So
That's exactly what I do. That's how I utilize what you just described is exactly how I utilize Instagram. I've got a thing called like licks of death where you got to play this, this crazy line that I come up with like whenever I can get to it, if I'm not busy or, working but it's the same thing that I feel I have exactly what you just said. I have like no video editing chops whatsoever. And when I was at Berkeley, I was a dual major in performance and production.
yeah.
And dude, I could not do production anymore because it was taking me away from playing. But if I could go back in time, I probably would have thrown my stupid guitar out the window and just learned how to produce. But I just didn't have the passion for it. I just felt like it was taking me away from what I really wanted to do, and I couldn't multitask then. But now you kind of have to. But I completely agree with you. I feel like that when you're shooting like a short Instagram clip, it's almost like the red light syndrome. Like you're recording, so you have to nail it and get it good enough to put up for people to see, and it helps you, it kind of tightens you up.
It's been super helpful for me for session work in the sense because I'm constantly recording myself, whether it's in a DAW, whether I'm filming myself. And what that does is that it removes red light syndrome. So like the one thing that let's say if I'm going, so a lot of times I'm recording with friends and a lot of them, they're really close friends. So, that pressure is down and it's usually easy, but sometimes I get called to go to a stranger's, a person that wants to hire me for something and I'm sitting on the couch. And that kind of practice has allowed me to be like, oh, we get it in a take, 2 takes, punch it. Versus where before, when I was younger, before I started recording myself constantly, it would be like, oh crap.
Yeah.
I mean, like you smash your space bar.
Totally. Julie, what have you been doing in this kind of downtime or whatever you want to call it? Because you're always on the road. I mean,
true. Well, I was a nomad for the last 6 years. I didn't live anywhere.
When you told me that, I couldn't believe it. It's insane.
Yeah. So I finally have settled down here in Seattle, and I'm I feel lucky. I feel grateful that I have I'm forced to take a break and forced to stay in one place right now because I was literally all over the world for the last 6 years and really the last 14 years. So it's kind of nice. And I am also lucky that I have actually been recording longer than I've been playing bass. So I've got my DAW right here, and I've just been working and recording a lot of songs. I've finished the latest Echo Test record. I'm just waiting till I can fly back to Philly and actually get into the studio so we can record the drums. My band is 2/3 Italian, so that's another bummer that I have to wait until they're able to fly over here and record their parts in that studio. So
yeah, that's right.
That's the bummer. But I've also been to pass the time, been learning some of my favorite songs, completely full arrangements. I find cheesy MIDI files and deconstruct these things and some Radiohead songs, Air songs, Massive Attack, things like that, and literally replace every single track. So it's a way for me as a songwriter, not just a bass player, to figure out how other bands that I really admire, how they come up with their arrangements and how melodies work and rhythms and everything like that. I mean, I was expecting a kind of slow year anyway, because Adrian, he's a little bit older. He doesn't tour as hard as some bands out there do. He's 70 now. So he was going to be on the road with Jerry Harrison and doing a Celebrating Talking Heads thing with Turquoise. And they had a couple select festival dates. And I actually was in Nashville when all this went down and changed my flight to come back because, it was that sort of nebulous time and we weren't sure when things were shutting down. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to get back home, for example. I didn't want to be stuck in Nashville. So I was helping him build his pedal board, and it was pretty cool, actually. We were going through all these songs on Remain in Light, and he was pulling out pieces of rack gear from his studio and saying, oh, this is what I used on, The Great Curve, and he would play this effect, and I would have to figure out how to program it. So it's a bummer that I don't get to continue to do that with him. but it was pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I think I saw some Instagram videos of that. Weren't you? He was screwing around with the H9, right? Weren't you?
Oh yeah, that was like the kind of the heart of the rig.
That's all. How did he like adapt to it, or was it tough for him?
No, he did. It was like I said, we were kind of, I called this in college. I don't know if this is a technical term, but we called it clown shoeing. Like when you try to like mimic the sound exactly. So again, he'd bring out this hunky piece of rack gear that he wasn't going to take out on the road with him. And then I would hear it and think, okay, I know the H9 pretty well. Let's go into this algorithm and start twiddling around until we got close to the sound. And because of the MIDI capability on the H9, we were using it with what was it, a Voodoo Labs pedal board that had MIDI functionality. So it was we were using it to switch the presets, and we were so close to getting it finished, and unfortunately we didn't get a chance. So hopefully when that picks up again, I don't know. The thing about those shows was it was celebrating the 40th anniversary of Remain in Light. So obviously I don't think that's going to happen in any time in 2020. So I don't know if they're going to reschedule those shows for next year. Of course, I hope that we continue touring with the Adrian Ballou Band in 2021. We'll see.
Yeah, for sure. I hear you.
Yeah.
Michael, you're such an interesting guy, man. Like, you have a PhD, you did a TED Talk. Like, can you just like kind of, how did that come about, man?
Well, the PhD, I just sort of
Well,
went.
that week, yeah. I'm talking more about the TED Talk. I get the PhD. You're a smart guy.
Well, the TED Talk, it just kind of grew out of the TED group was organizing something, and they wanted to include some stuff about Richmond and locality. And my research had been on sort of the sense of sort of regional identity in music. So I spoke to that in relationship to GWAR, and sort of, thinking about GWAR, which is this band from Antarctica, but actually, it's a band from Richmond, Virginia. And that's sort of, the relationship there. But, we're just lucky. We have there's a strong, a school there that I think most of the people who organized it, and they were very young people. It was, we're from VCU, which is a Virginia Commonwealth University, a school there. It was fun.
That's awesome, man. So what's it like now coming back to GWAR and singing? Like, how is that? How have you adapted to that?
It's a lot harder to me. I mean, like, it's everybody's looking at you all the time, like bass, you have that luxury of like, I mean, I almost think that people that play bass sort of naturally don't want to be looked at all the time. It's like, we like to just, yeah, this is cool, and you can do what you're doing, and like, your relationship is with the drummer, and that's awesome, but so it's definitely different, and I think probably more stressful. Is basically how I would explain.
Totally, man. Because your show is that's a rigorous show, man. You guys are, it's serious. It's awesome.
It's an effort.
Exactly.
It's fun.
That's cool, man. John, you're kind of like me. We're working in, the gear side of things in the industry. How has that been?
It was interesting because right when this whole thing started, the boss and I are watching it very carefully to see what's going to happen kind of, as states started clamping down on things. It's like, okay, will we be affected? How will we be affected? And, being in Michigan, that I think had the third highest infection rate. We got clamped down pretty hard. So, I mean, like as of March 23rd, I think, or so, we had to shut down the factory. Thankfully for my job, aside from the product development part, I mean, it's all online. So It didn't really affect me as much. But yeah, it was definitely I turned into more, I would say, not so much the usual product specialist or things like that, but almost more of just trying to keep everybody's hopes up and things, and reaching out to as many of our artists as I can to be like, hey, how are you doing? You know, just more than any, you know, not even checking in to see if they need strings, just more of, okay, how are you doing? You know, how is your family? How are things like that? So it turned into a lot more that kind of thing. And I mean, thankfully, I got the call to my first day back at the office was last Monday. So,
That's
and
cool.
as of tomorrow, we're at 100%. So we got a little bit of catching up to do. We're lucky that because we have an online store, we could still, you know, keep stuff going out, keep our dealers happy. Because I mean, thankfully those guys have been having okay. The ones that could, you know, stick around and stay open, they've been doing great. But other than that, yeah, it's just a lot of taking your regular roles, and it was more of instead of just being the salesperson, being more the human.
Yeah, I totally hear that, man. I've kind of been doing a similar thing myself, and I think that we kind of started these Zoom chats as almost a way to check in on our friends and artists, and kind of just, you know, provide some calm during the storm, and at least have something for people to turn to every day that they can be like, oh, okay, well, here's humans having a conversation, you know?
Yeah.
We actually had a Facebook question come in. Jeff, do you actually have a balalaika like behind you? Could you show us one, man?
I have 4 of them on the wall. Yeah.
Oh. Cool. Okay. That's awesome. John Sullivan, what's it like where you're at, man? How have you been just writing tons of music, or what are you up to?
You know, it's kind of interesting just hearing everybody, you know, talk about what's going on, because, you know, definitely, I mean, you know, like all our gigs, you know, are on ice until like we don't even know when. You know what I'm saying? So there's no telling. So I'm just, you know, like my lessons and stuff. You know what I mean? I mean, I do a couple online stuff, but you know, most were face to face. And so I've just been like working on, like you're saying, working on tunes. You know, for my band Kid is Qual. You know, I'm doing some music with the rapper Schoolie D. He's got some new stuff coming up, and I've been working on some stuff with the Ween dudes. And I mean, I'm not trying to drop a bunch of names. I'm kind of
no, drop them, dude. It's no.
Well, you know, I'm just working on shit. You know, working on my thing. I mean, I've kind of been spending a lot of time on my hard drives. Like, I don't know about you guys, but like I have like, you know, just like piles of like, you know, hard drives. They're all at least 1 terabyte, 2 terabytes, 5 terabytes. The stuff's all over the place. So I'm trying to go through and really organize things, and you know, just like footage and content, like my man was talking about, just editing videos and all that kind of stuff, because you know, that's a whole different instrument in itself. You know what I mean? You just spend time doing that. So like you know, like your videos, how you make them. You know, I really enjoy. You know, I always hit you up about your cool videos and how it's real musical. And so, you know, like I said, I'm just, you know, I'm just trying to, you know, work on things that you know, that I haven't had as much time for, you know, trying to write some songs. I've been working on my gear, like I pulled all my pedal boards apart, and, you know, been really, you know, trying to like rework them and clean them, and, you know, just that kind of stuff, man. I mean, nothing that cool, obviously, you know what I mean?
But
you know what I mean?
your board, I mean, your pedal board, it's not like most people's pedal board. You have like an absolute like spacecraft down by your feet. Like, I remember when I first met John, we played with Kid is Qual, and you know, I didn't know anything about them, and it's just like, it's like this crazy, it's 2 bass players and a drummer, and it's like this awesome synth wave, just madness. And I went up to John, I'm like, dude, this is sick. And I was like, he's like, yeah, man, I'm lead bass. And I was just like, dude, this guy's a maniac. That's sick. But it's like, you know, John's got a real complicated board. He's got 1 million pedals on there. He's always experimenting with sound. I thought that was awesome to see from like a bass standpoint, because like, what was that, like 10 years ago?
Probably, yeah.
Dude, nobody was doing that. You know, people are like, what is happening right now? you know? So like, have you been playing with any new pedals or what's up, man?
Yeah, well, I need to get one of those H9s, man, because like I said, I see your videos and they're sick, dude. I mean, it's just like all kinds of, you know what I mean? I mean, like the pedal stuff now is just so out of control compared to like what it was like 30 years ago. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
I mean, it's just, yeah, I mean, it's like you can get into it as much as you want to tweak it. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just, you know, I've got some new stuff. I mean, I forget what they're called. Like I got one of those new deep impacts, and I got this other synth pedal that I forget the name. I try to make the, you know, a lot of cats kind of like the bass players, they'll be like, oh, I have my chorus and all this kind of stuff. Like I try to make stuff that doesn't sound right. You know what I mean? Like once it starts like sound tweaking out something different, or like it doesn't sound like it's supposed to, that's when I start to like it, you know? Kind of. I don't know if that sounds kind of, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm just working on stuff, and hey, we'll see. You know what I mean? It's like just, you know, I've been helping my mother. You know, my father died a couple of years ago, so he's not around. So you know, I got to go there and cut her grass and, you know, help her out, and you know that kind of family grown up kind of stuff too. You know, which is kind of a drag sometimes, because I'd rather just be on the road. You know what I'm saying? But you know, like I said, dude, yeah, that's what I've been talking to my friends. I talk to you. I talk to Mike a lot. You know what I mean? Like me and Mike, we kind of grew up. I didn't grow up. Well, we grew up together, didn't we, Mike? I mean, kind of.
Yeah. After you
like,
grew up after me.
Yeah, like Mike's band Kipo was awesome. Like I was going to school and I just saw his band Kipo, and it like changed my life. I mean, I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. You know what I mean? Like just, so then, you know, I started super fanning on Mike, and it's just kind of funny. We stayed in contact over the years. We said, dude, this guy's he's a badass bass player, man. Seriously, man. But Mike, you're too humble, man.
Mike, are you still Michael? Are you still playing Steinbergers?
Yeah, that's what I play.
Because I do the headless thing too. I got a Strandberg, but I totally loved the old Steinbergers, man. They're amazing instruments.
I mean, I got it just because, like, I mean, I had I think it was like a 72 Fender Jazz, and it kept getting the chains that people would wear in guar, like, would get caught in the tuning pegs, and it would get ripped out of my hand.
Oh, man.
So I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Plus they're light. It's like light on your back. That's why I love mine.
Well,
because
I use the XM3, which is the one. It's an old instrument, and I bought one just like it that's actually older but in better shape. And it's they're the ones with those are the ones with the body, and they're actually heavier than most basses.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's insane. Just real quick, I know you're a big fisherman. I'm also a big fisherman. Have you been getting out on the water at all, man?
Yeah, you know, I mean, in Florida, it's like this thing didn't even happen, right? Everybody's just
hanging out,
shaking hands and kissing each other in the grocery store.
Oh,
it's like, but yeah, I mean, the boat ramps have stayed open in some counties, and you know, before they reopened everything. Now that it's open, you can't even get on the water. You can't even see the water. There's so many boats. But before that, I was going out a lot, and sometimes I go out during the week and catch, you know, trout, redfish, and snook and that stuff.
Oh yeah, man, it's awesome. So has anybody been playing with like new gear that's super inspiring, or something like you've picked up during this quarantine that you didn't know was going to be so awesome, and now you're like, you can't live without it? Anyone?
Not yet. I mean, the only thing I've done is, I guess in that regard, is finally dipped my toe into MIDI, because for the longest time I was kicking and screaming that I wouldn't do it. You know, even with having a couple H9s, I'm like, nope. And, you know, you were even saying, but if you did it, you'd realize how much cooler it is.
I really think those pedals, if you can unlock MIDI, or if you utilize MIDI, you can really unlock the full potential of what they can do. Mm-hmm. I mean, it just makes everything. It's almost, I don't want to say it was designed for that, but it's just definitely one of the advantages of the H9, because obviously you can set it to through, slave, and master. It's just so open-ended, and it just works with everything, you know? So how has that process been? Have you been?
I was lucky, kind of like Kilian with learning production, is that I spoke with a builder that, does actual micro MIDI controllers. It's in, a micro enclosure like that big. And so I spoke to him and just kind of mentioned it. And he actually called me on the phone, walked me through how to actually go through the H9 and set everything up. And then that was kind of when I'm like, oh, wait, that's all I had to do? He's like, yeah, that's it. I'm like, why did this seem so foreign? He's like, I don't know, but there you go, enjoy. So it's been cool. I haven't taken the step to actually link both of them together yet. I'm afraid once I do, it's gonna, become self-aware.
Especially for your solo stuff, man. That I could just see it being so beneficial, just from how you play and the effects.
Right. Well, what I'd like to do too because I use the Infinity Looper, the first model on it, I'd like to hook those together so I can control then the tempo of the looper through the H9, which I know you can do. I just haven't, done it yet. But yeah, something like that would definitely make it a lot more beneficial, especially some of the newer things I've been working on, Christian, that, you're switching a couple different patches as one dies out, and then you can do another one instead of scrolling through the whole thing, just hit one button and go that way.
Yeah, we have one of our artists, Jeff Andy from Jeff Andy Altogether. He actually controls, he just has two H9s on the ground, and he has one set to slave and the other one set to master, and he's controlling literally like two different things with one press on each pedal, and it's ingenious if you watch him play live. Like, he's got it down to a science, and everything just sounds awesome. So I mean, again, that's like a super useful just aspect of the H9. Again,
sure.
Super open-ended, So
you're an H9 master, son.
No, I'm not, dude. Honestly, man,
you're the master, dude. You are, dude.
I'm really not, man. Dude, I'm more, again, like I love that pedal, but I probably identify more. I'm kind of like more old school, where I just like to step on one thing and I know the sound of it. Like, I've been using the same pedal board for probably 10 or 12 years, like my main board that I play like the jazz fusion gigs with, and not in the metal band. I have a totally different setup for that. But I mean, I have said this in a couple chats, but I have like an original time factor, Eventide time factor, that does all the crazy delays on that board. And I have it, you'll laugh at this, but I have it set up with an Digitech aux switch that can do tap tempo up and down. A big like Boss expression pedal that I can control, like whatever the preset is set to. Like, it might do the depth on one or a tails on another one. But I literally did not tweak one of those presets. Everything is stock, man. And I just have used it. I've used it with the expression pedal, and it works, man. Like, I know if I want a cool digital delay, I'll step on preset one. Like, I memorized the 5 presets that really worked for my sound, and I kind of adapted myself. If you have a tap tempo, you're good with that type of stuff. And then my whole other board, everything's kind of like just laid out. Like, I have my overdrive for my lead tone, my analog man chorus that it's set to be like an organ sound. But Eventide released the Rose last year, and that's a totally analog vibe. So that's actually more up my alley. The H9 is it's a great studio and live tool for a lot of people. But I like that more kind of analog vibe just for my personal sound, It's not good or bad. It's just how it is.
Yeah, it's definitely intense. I mean, like, anytime I get something out of those pedals, it's like it's a mistake, you know what I mean? And then I'm trying to get on it, then I mess it all up, and I'm like, no. And then like I say, man, I need some lessons, man. Hook me up.
No, talk to Julie, dude. Julie got some sick. I mean, she uses pitch factor in such a cool way. Like, Julie, just talk about that, because it's awesome.
Well, I use the pitch factor in conjunction with the H9.
Yeah.
And I will use I love the Quadravox. It's like my my special sauce on everything. You can program it to be in. You were talking about Hungarian minor earlier. I'm like, yeah,
I
but
love that. I love
you make
Hungarian.
a preset for that. Yes, so you don't have to learn it. You can just hit one note and get 4 in Hungarian minor perfectly. So I'll be working on a song, and I'm always recording as I write. So I'm in Logic, it's to a certain BPM. So I'll go into the Quadrivox, set it to the tempo, and then just okay, I'm in this key, Hungarian minor, and then just tweak the knobs until it sounds cool. I mean, it's such an inspiring tool because it's sort of random in that way that I'm just dialing through different intervals and also the spacing between the notes. It's allowing me to achieve sounds, and also achieve sounds on the bass that I couldn't otherwise, hitting notes I couldn't otherwise get 2 octaves up. So then I'll have that go into the H9 with another Quadrivox sound, or the harmodulator where it's pitched up a 5th. So now I have an 8-part weird crazy delay sound. So again, and achieving things that wouldn't physically be possible, or you'd have to practice for 20 hours a day, I guess, to achieve. And then actually I was going to say the pedal that I've been getting into is the Rose. I use the Infinity Looper as well. I've got it set up now with a KMI soft step. So with the MIDI expander, I find it's really helpful to use with the Infinity Looper because I can change presets. So I have the Rose after the Infinity with an expression pedal, and I'm affecting a loop that I have, sort of fading out or something. I'll turn the Rose on and it does its crazy Rose thing, and I'll be affecting it with the expression pedal. Meanwhile, I can turn off the loop on the Infinity, and the Rose keeps going with this crazy trail of awesomeness. And then I can bank up a preset without having to bend over and turn the preset knob. That's a lot of information, I know. But.
No, awesome.
To say +1 on Christian's recommendation to check out Julie's use of the pitch factor, because I thought that was really cool. It actually pushed me over the edge on pulling the trigger on the pitch factor myself. And I had been looking for a long time to find a good pitch shifting pedal for bass, and every one that I had tried just had such clear artifacts. I'd pitch down, and when you have a sustained note, you could hear it throbbing, and just the attack didn't sound right. And the pitch factor really was such a godsend because it allowed me to bring 2 less basses on tour. It made things a lot easier for me.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's awesome. How has it been in a live context, man?
You indiscernibly different from not using it and just tuning that way, because my use of the pitch factor is a little bit different than Julie's, where I'm just kind of using it to pitch shift straight down a whole step or 3 steps or something, because Devin's all over the place with his tunings. And
yes,
you would not know the difference. It's really incredible what you guys have done.
Wow, that's so awesome, man. I'd love to hear that. I'm so glad that's become a tool for you, man.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Dave, you have when I played with you back in the day, man, a couple of years ago, your rig is insane, dude. That thing is brutal. It sounds absurd.
Thank you.
Yeah. Are you still utilizing the EQ and the?
Yeah, I have been for a while. Right now, honestly, this is very new for me. I am expanding with amp modeling a little bit. I just got a Helix yesterday sent to me, so we'll see how it goes. But when I was playing with you, I was doing a 3-way parallel blend with 3 different distortion pedals and a fuzz.
Yeah, you were pushing a lot of air, man. That's what I did that too with the amp modeling. I went all direct for a while when I was for the metal stuff, just because it was easy and we could load out quick and get to the next gig, but then I went back to a cab setup with a Mesa 290 simulclass with the amp modeler, and I noticed a substantial difference. I didn't think there was one, but still I feel like pushing air on stage as well, you can still
that's what I love.
Yeah, you can't replace that, man. I know. I'm sure all of you guys have done in-ear gigs where you're just silent stage, and it's in some, I think I did I played with like in Atlantic City, like oh, what the hell was that show called? It was like some crazy music review on New Year's, where like a Vegas style show at like the Trop, and everything was silent stage. And dude, it was a tough gig, man, because you can't feel anything, you know, like you don't know, everything you're playing on in-ears always sounds so sterile. And
Yeah, because I was using, I think when we were playing, so Aguilar DB751 head with the 410 and the 15. And then as far as the effects board, I was using, it's a Canadian company, Wounded Paw. They make a Blender V4,
yeah,
kind of four-way blend. So I was doing the Fuzzrocious Cattail, an HM2 clone, and then like a Muff Fuzz kind of clone, the Friedrich Effects, the English company.
wow.
So the tone and a DI in it as well. So most of it was my DI, the Fuzzrocious Cattail, which is like their modded rat, and then the HM2 clone always on. And then for any of the Doom sections, I just push in that fuzz underneath it, just give it the underneath everything.
That's awesome, man. And I think we should touch also on the fact that, look, when I was at Berkeley in 2008, it was a completely different landscape, man. Like I was one of the few people, I think it was like me, Casey Sable, like Kevin Rendelman, that were playing like progressive, like crazy prog music. And dude, nobody got it then. Like it was just, it was just starting out to where now it's spun into this, you know, massive thing, like where it's accepted. But like at Berkeley, I never felt like I fit in. I was either, you know, I studied with Richie Hart, who was George Benson's protege, and then Joe Stump, who is like Joe Stump, you know, like insane shredding. But I was always so interested in every style of music, so I just never really found like a niche. But
Because when I studied there, I was mainly an upright player, honestly.
Dude,
and I would do all the metal stuff outside of the school.
But exactly. But think about what I feel like what you've done with your ensembles at Berkeley has completely changed the landscape. Like there are kids that are seeking out your ensembles because you're doing metal, you're doing punk, you're giving, you know, validation in a college setting, to where it was, I mean, I had one teacher, I won't mention his name, but he was just like, I mean, he was a jazz Nazi, dude. Like, and I get it. Like, trust me, I love to play straight ahead stuff, and I get the art form in that. But this guy, I think he gave me a B because I had a vibrato in a solo, like some ridiculous thing. You know, it is what it is. But I guess my point is, you've given these kind of fringe genres of music validation in like a collegiate setting, and people
Thank you.
who normally would feel like outcasts now have a place to go. Like, what is that? I mean, that's on you, man. Like,
thank you. Yeah, no, it's been awesome. You know, it's honestly been really incredible, because it was, I mean, the way I got the gig, I mean, Steve Bailey, the chair of the bass department, he just became the chair, and I'd known him for a little while, and I was in the area and stopped by his office just to say hi and see how he liked moving to Boston. And he was just kind of like, hey, how would you like to write a course on metal bass playing for me for the college? What do you need me to do? Can you get a course proposal ready for me in a week? Yes.
that's so awesome,
Went
man.
from there. And then once I got my foot in the door, I stopped by the ensemble office because I knew the chair there, and he's like, yeah, I'm teaching here now. I don't know if you need anyone to do any heavy stuff. And he's like, I'm teaching this directed study Rage Against the Machine ensemble. I don't really know this band. You want to teach it for me? I was like, hell yes, I do. And it just kept evolving. And then I was fortunate enough to start incorporating, you know, my friends and people in my professional network to start coming to the school. So, you know, we had, I mean, my third week teaching there, my guest was Alex Webster from Cannibal Corpse in my metal bass lab. And then the week after that was Dave Ellefson. And then
Yes.
For me, like the big turning point with the ensembles, I set up a Dillinger Escape Plan ensemble, and we ended up getting Liam Wilson and Billy Reimer to come in. they did a rhythm section clinic together, which is still online somewhere. And then they rehearsed with the student ensemble, and then we did a big floor show, and they took turns sitting in playing with the students. You know,
That is, dude, that's so awesome. And I was gonna bring up the Dillinger Ensemble because honestly, man, that's stuff that kids at music school should be studying. Like that's Arnold Schoenberg and like, I mean, that's modern day like atonality. It should be studied. That Dillinger stuff is insane, man. It's important.
Yeah, I agree. So it's been a great ride, and it's been, you know, yeah, we keep doing fun things. You know, we just had Tool come in and do a thing as well, which was incredible for me because I was
Wow.
a huge Justin Chancellor fan, and then
Wow.
getting to see Justin and Danny play like Anima, just the two of them by themselves on like, you know, Danny on a 5-piece drum kit and stuff like that was pretty rad to see. You know, so yeah, no, it's been great.
It's so cool that all the artists are willing to like are jumping on it too, because that's only gonna, you know, spread the inspiration and get it bigger, man.
Yeah, and even now too, even how like it became all online, even with Zoom, it's been great too, because I had let's see, I'm trying to think. I'm teaching a scar symmetry ensemble. We had Per Nielsen come and do a Zoom hang for questions. Taught a Pierce the Veil ensemble. Vic came in from that.
Wow.
Students. What else did we do? This Jared Smith from Archspire came into the metal bass lab and, you know, did a lot of cool stuff. Jessica from Bent Knee came in as well. Like, it's been great, you know. And I think that's a big part of it, is just kind of what you said. Like, I wanted to make sure when I came in, I'd help spread the community and help blur the lines a little bit more between the school community and the professional community. And that's kind of how I found doing it, was bring them in, have them all hang and talk with each other, you know. So
Man, that's inspiring to hear, dude. You're doing God's work at Berkeley.
thank you very much. I
That's
appreciate
great, man. Hey, Julie, we had a question on YouTube. I guess this user wants to know how you use the Bass 6 in conjunction with the H9 and your other electronics.
Well, the Bass 6 I have from Lakeland is MIDI ready, MIDI capable. So I have one of those Roland GK3 pickups in that guy. And of course, it's in the other room. I don't want to get up and go get it, protected from the cat. But I use the 13-pin out is built into that bass, and that goes right into a Roland VB99. And so I'm able to achieve a lot of different tones through that, not just bass tones. I do some bass modeling with it, some fretless stuff, some Music Man, Thunderbird. Mostly I use a P bass sound because I love P basses. I have P basses that I use in my Adrian gig because they're the best. But I also get crazy and I do like synth stuff, organ stuff with it, and guitar sounds. So I use that with the pitch factor, because then it's really like getting you like a whole different, really wide array of octaves, but different timbres and tones and things like that. And then of course I have the looper, so I can come up with a loop, on the bass or the guitar modeled sound, and then go from there with like the aforementioned favorite preset of mine with the Quadravox sounds and things like that.
Hey, sorry guys, I got to bounce. I have an appointment, but I just want to say I really am honored to have been a part of this. Everybody on here is amazing. So keep up the work, and thank you so much, Christian.
Michael, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll see you later.
Yeah.
Take it easy, man. Guys, we can wrap it up soon. I just wanted to ask, Kilian, you have such an amazing kind of fresh take on thumping. How did you develop that, man?
So for me, it was that growing up when I was a kid, my parents, after they split, they didn't have a lot of money. So what it was that, like, I always wanted to be a drummer originally, but growing up in apartments, two-bedroom apartments, I can't exactly have an acoustic drum set in there. So when my aunt bought me my first bass, I was right around that time when like 311 and Incubus and stuff like that was kind of a thing, and like that late wave of 90s slap bass Jamiroquai stuff. So I got bit by that bug. But then what it was is that I really wanted to be a drummer in a way, like, how like, and my cousin was a drummer, and I had a lot of musician friends in my life that were, studying things on a rudimentary level, really kind of understanding things on a, like how, you're viewing things from up, down, sideways, every single way. And then once I really got into the rabbit hole, people like Victor Wooten and bass players like Ray Riendo and Abraham Laboriel and a lot of the metal guys that utilize it, I just constantly just kept digging down that rabbit hole. And, I think it's one of those things where I just always wanted to be able to, my goal always with music is to be like, I want to be able to execute what's in my mind. And so with the percussive thing, it was just one of the things where whenever I was listening to music, I was always imagining I'm playing the drum. I was the drummer. So like when I'd listen to like Marv was talking about Tool, I would just imagine I'm Danny Carey listening to it. And I'm a huge Justin Chancellor fan, obviously, like, and his bass lines are unbelievable. But when I'm listening to a Tool song, I'm imagining playing the drum set in my mind, like the kick drum I feel viscerally in my chest. So when I would slap and stuff like that, for me, it was the closest approximation I could get. And then, especially when I really started learning in high school, all the Victor Wooten stuff, it just opened up a whole other world for it. And then thankfully, just by experimenting and tweaking and stuff like that, I've kind of developed a voice on it, which is cool and something that kind of has kind of become my thing a little bit. But I always say I wear my influence on my sleeve. But yeah, it really comes from that. I was just a little broke kid that parents couldn't get me a drum set. So I was like, well, I'll hit the thing and now I'll be a drummer that way.
Dude, I saw you posted, you had a really cool Instagram post maybe like a month ago, and I think it was like, this one was inspired by Peanut, and he responded, man. He dug it. He was like,
he's the sweetest guy. And the cool thing about that is that I found out from Chris is that he's a big Scale the Summit fan. So he listens to Scale the Summit when he does yoga, which is kind of like a really awesome thing for me because growing up, I loved 311. Like I really
do, man. That was my first show.
Yeah, I was in middle school, and he's a great bass player. So like, I've never outgrown loving his tone and his bass playing, and just he's been super supportive of my playing, and he's a supporter of the bands, and so like, it's always nice. So like, he'd been leaving me a lot of love on comments and messages, and so I made a video for him, and he reached out, and like, yeah, man, he's a homie. Like he's a really nice guy. And
I think everyone in the 311 camp, because I deal with Nick Hexum, who is like the nicest guy on the planet, and he uses it, H9, and we hung out with him at his place and did a video with him in California, and he's just a dude. They're they've been on the road for 30, 40 years. They're awesome dudes, man, and they were doing it when it was like super cool, like and people were flocking, and it's awesome, dude. Good people.
Hell yeah.
Well, guys, listen, we've been on here for over an hour now. I think it's time to wrap it up. Everyone's been super gracious with donating your time, and again, I really appreciate it, and I know everyone else out there definitely does. We got such high caliber people and players on this chat, and I'm thankful that we're able to pull this off. So let's just go around and everyone can do a sign off, tell us where to find out about you or whatever you want to say, Dave, we'll start with you, man.
Thanks for having me, Christian. Great seeing everyone. I mean, it's been a lot of people where we've all been in the same network, and I haven't quite done face-to-face time, so it's great finally chatting a little bit more. Yeah, I'm around. I'm on Instagram, David Marvuglio. Play with the band right now, Rare Futures. Yeah, I'm around.
That's awesome. And I also agree with Dave, because it's kind of nice to actually put faces to names, and we've all kind of been on the fringe of everyone's network over the past few years, and it's been really cool for me too, man. John Moody, how about you, man?
Yeah, it was it's nice to put names, faces, and things, not at NAMM for
oh
change.
My God. I think we got this. we got this thing from Nam, dude. Like, it's brutal. Anyways, keep going. Sorry.
So, yeah, you can find me on all the socials under Mon Judy, or you can head over to my website, which is justmoody.com, and you can hear me play all my, really pretty bass stuff.
Awesome. Jeff, how about you, bud?
Hey, well, thanks for having me on. It's awesome to be in such great company with such awesome people and musicians. And yeah, just if you're interested in checking out what we do, check out highonfire.net. We're on all the socials as well. You can check out my personal YouTube channel, just Jeff Matz on YouTube. Bunch of little bass videos and things like that on there. But yeah, it's just been really cool. So thanks again for having me.
Thanks so much, Jeff. And I definitely want to hear more of the Turkish influence. And I hope it comes out in the next record and even in your own personal stuff, man. Very cool. Kilian, how about you, dude?
Yeah, so thanks again, obviously, for including me here. And awesome to see everyone here, some new faces and some new friends. It's kind of awesome. So my personal Instagram is the one I post on the most. That's Kilian Duarte Bass. And then new Scale Summit record, hopefully this summer. So Scale Summit on Instagram and Facebook. And then also Abiotic record in the fall. So Abiotic Band on Facebook and on Instagram. So just that. And yeah, thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate it.
Dude, I played a bunch of shows with Abiotic back in the day, man, when I played in this band called Dark Empire. It's cool to see you, to see you.
Part of this band now. And this new record, we're going for the throat. Lots of guests on this record, amazing guitar players that like from bands. Like we're going really all out this record. So I'm so stoked to release this.
That's awesome. I'm glad you're involved in that, man, because the Abiotic guys they were sick players back then, man, so I'm sure it's even gotten crazier. So Nathan, how about you?
Thanks for having me, Christian. It's been awesome, guys, and I just wish you the best as we continue to get through this pandemic. If you want to check out my work, head to nathannavarro.net, and it branches out to all my socials there.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much again. Julie.
Thanks for having me, Christian. It was good to hear you say Wooder. I heard that.
Oh my God, yes. Dude, I can never escape that, man.
As I'm from Philly and I can recognize that.
Oh boy.
That South Jersey Philly accent. So that was nice. Good to see you, Jeff. And yeah, thanks for listening to me nerd out about my favorite pedals. And you can check me out, hear what I do with them over at my Instagram, Julie Slick Bass. My band Echo Test, one word. That's Echo Test Music on Instagram, and you can find that also on me and Echo Test on Facebook. And you can check out our music on my Bandcamp page, which is basically what's been keeping me afloat this year. You can subscribe to my Bandcamp page and get all of our music and new rare stuff and all sorts of goodies there. And that's julieslick.bandcamp.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Julie. Appreciate it. John Sullivan.
Yeah, what's up? Yeah, man. I just say nice to meet everybody. I gotta check out y'all's jams. You know what I mean? So much, fucking cool, creative music. You know what I mean? People, you hear cast, man. It's like, new music isn't good and all that stuff. I just don't believe that, man. You know what I'm saying? You just got to spend the time to dig it out. There's so much good, young talent and songs and all kinds of stuff going on right now, man. So I say everybody just keep the head up and, and hopefully we'll be going to see some baseball games pretty soon, doing that thing,
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Cool. Guys, again, thank you so much. This is Christian Colabelli with Eventide signing off, and we're coming back at you tomorrow at 4 p.m. with another Quarantide. Thanks, everyone. Peace out.
See you.
Thank you.